Welcome to the high-level overview demo of Dynamics 365 Business Central Core Plus. In this session, we'll be looking at all the key areas that are included within the Core Plus module, such as fixed assets and human resources. I will now show you some of the key features that is part of the Business Central Core Plus. The first area we will look at is the fixed assets. So within Business Central, you can hold the assets of the company, so office equipment, technologies, cars, properties. From here, you can then create a fixed asset card. So the fixed asset card holds all the details about the asset itself, who's the responsible employee, where the location of the asset is, the serial number, what the asset is. Obviously, we then have the depreciation book, which this is defining how depreciation works. So we have a depreciation start and ending date, number of years. This is straight line. We have multiple options in Business Central. We can do straight line, reducing balance, user defined or manual for those properties that don't need to be depreciated. So from here, once you have your asset set up, you can then acquire your fixed asset. Now, when you create a fixed asset for the first time, I'm just going to click new and create my fixed asset. What you can do is once you've set up your subclasses and your location, so your subclasses, you can break it down into equipment, furniture. If there is a location, you don't have to have that location. And I'm just going to do my start date. And I'm going to say this needs to be depreciated over 5 years. This will then automatically populate my end date. Once you've done that, the fixed asset wizard pops up. So you have an option to use the wizard to acquire the asset. This will then create the journal lines, or you can manually create the journal using a fixed asset general journal, or you can purchase the fixed asset on a purchase order. So you have those flexibility to create an asset and acquire it 3 different ways if you'd like to. Once the asset has its acquisition cost, you can then run calculate depreciation. So calculate depreciation, depending on the depreciation method, will run through all of the assets for you, and then we'll create the depreciation lines and the amounts. You can then go to that journal, check it, make sure you're happy with the depreciation and post the journal. That then, once the journal has been posted on the fixed asset itself, will create depreciation lines. So for example, here on my laptop, you can see I have my depreciation lines. Within Business Central, you can also dispose of an asset. So I'm just going to go to a fixed asset GL journal and show you the different types we can deal with the assets. So I've already talked about acquisition and depreciation. So the other FA types you can use is write down, appreciation, and obviously one of the other things that can happen with an asset is disposal. So if you do dispose of an asset within Business Central, what the system will do once the journal has posted will work out your gains and loss on disposal for you, and it will do all of those postings, so you don't have to worry about manually doing the gains and loss on disposal. The system will do that for you. And the final area of the fixed assets I wanted to talk about is the book value 01 report. So this will be your fixed asset register within the system. So you can run your fixed asset book value 01. You can pop your start date in. It can be as a month end task. It could be a yearly date, completely up to you what dates you want to pop in there. And then you have the flexibility to group per total. So if you wanted to see it per FA posting group, so the FA posting group is where in the chart of accounts it can post. So normally the FA posting group is equipment, property, fixtures and fittings, FA class or subclass. So I'm just going to do it per FA posting group, and then you can print per fixed asset. So now if I just preview this report, what you'll see is a fixed asset register. Because I clicked print per fixed asset, I can see the assets themselves. You can see my FA posting group is equipment and vehicles, and then you can see additions and disposals and acquisitions within that period, and it will give you the book value at the end of the year. So that's everything I wanted to show you with the fixed assets within the Core Plus module. The next area is human resources. So within Business Central, we do have a human resources area, which will contain employees, absence registers, and obviously I will talk about the suggest employee payments once we go into them. So the first one is we're going to go to the employees card. From the employee card, you can capture the relevant data for that employee. So first name, last name, their job title, any initials, their gender, their company phone number. But what you can also capture is their bank account and sort code. This will be for the employee expenses. So when we are dealing with employee expenses within Business Central, you want to capture that to be able to pay the employee. So we tend to store the general information about the employee, so obviously their address, any contact details. As part of the HR module, we also have the absence register. So this is where you can register the absences as a HR manager. So you can see from here, I've got my employees that are in the system from and to date, and any cause of absence, which gives me the ability to then run a report so I can see how many people have had holiday, maternity, in my case, COVID, and then the units of measure, you can specify whether it's months, days, weeks within here. So I'm just going to go to the payment journal now. So once we have received the expenses from the employee, and we've processed the journal to recognise that expense on that employee card, what we can then do is we can run suggest employees. So very similar to the suggest vendor payments that I talked about in the core module, you can go here and you can click suggest employee payments and pop your posting date. You can obviously summarise per employee, which is usually helpful because you can then only pay them that whole amount rather than see individual lines for their expenses. If I click OK to this, what this is going to do is create me my lines. So you can see I've got some expenses that need to be paid. So as part of the Core Plus module, Payment Journal will not include the exporting of the BACS payments to a file, and please see the Banking Plus module if you'd like that feature. So from here, the user then has the ability to post the journal. Once the journal has been posted, that will remove the values off the employee ledger entries to say that they have been paid. And the final place is obviously, as I said, we have got human resources within Business Central. So I'm just going to go to the Human Resources department. And what you'll be able to see here is we have got some standard reports, as I said, employee absences by causes, their addresses, birthdays, which is nice, staff absences. So you have got some standard reports within the system, and they come as standard. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like more information about the modules, please contact Tisski.